Good morning and welcome to the morning break. She's back by popular demand. My co-host, Vivian Cumins. It's good to have you here with us. And it's always fun. I've got my coffee. Do you have your coffee?
I have my coffee.
We have coffee. Yep. Hey, the thing I want to talk about today, we are of a certain age now that we probably remember this, but MySpace is making a comeback. Did you see this?
I did, and I have some feelings. I'm kind of excited, actually. I didn't have a MySpace. Did you, Rob? You did. Let me hear about it.
So the thing I do like about I did like about MySpace compared to Facebook, though, it was really neat. The company that I was repping for got me involved with Facebook early on. So like I've been on Facebook since I think the end of 2007, but I had been on MySpace. And the thing I liked about MySpace is you could like customize. So like I had my Mustang in the background and I don't remember what else I had. I would change it at times. And of course you had to be very careful because you had your favorite friends, which is so different than we have now, which I'm thankful for. Because how do you pick 8 of your closest friends?
Right.
That would be tough. And so that's the one thing I am super, super thankful for is that we don't have that on Facebook. I don't even know how they figure that out on Facebook. Every time I go look at my own account, it's different people on there anyway.
I know, me too. And my daughter, she grew up in the 90s, and she had MySpace. And at the time we were like, you can't have a MySpace, because we heard a lot of bad things about it and how bad people, get to your kids and all that other stuff. But she had one on the side. And anyways, she introduced us to Facebook when it came out. And so I got my Facebook account back in like 2010 or something like that. But anyways, I have been reading up on MySpace, and I love it now. I hope they bring this back, and I'm going to jump on this new bandwagon, because I have so many people on my Facebook now that I'm sorry, y'all, but you're kind of not really my friends. I don't know you. And it's like, it's kind of been one of those things where you're connecting and you're collaborating. And it has gotten to the point where all I see are advertisements for things that I never knew I wanted. And people that I don't know. And I have no idea what's going on with my friends and family. I know nothing.
Yep.
And so that makes me so sad. And so I try to get people, I'm like, hey, y'all come on over to my media author page. So for those of y'all who are kind of like businessy people or whatever, or authors or whatever, y'all come over to my other page, but nobody will. And so I'm like, I got these 4,000 people on my Facebook, and I don't know that I know you or that we're even friends. Rob.
So I have 5,000. I'm at the limit on my personal account. And the funny thing, somebody asked me this because I spoke about social media at a conference a couple of years ago now. And so the question that they were going to ask is, how many people do you really know? And of course, I take that challenge very seriously. And at the time, I think I was at about 4,800 friends on there. And so I took it very seriously. And so I went through my list and I came up pretty close to about 80% of the people I had met in person out of the 4,800 or so that I had at the time. And so it's about 4,000. I would say now, and this is the sad part about it, I probably know less than that, because your friends cycle, people leave you, you say something they don't like, and all of a sudden, you're gone, and that's okay. I mean, hey, listen, it's social media. I post what I want. I post my food. I post trips where I'm going. And I post stuff like this that we're talking about. And that's one reason why, besides being on the app, you can also catch me with this show on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and somewhere else. And I can't remember. Rumble. We're on Rumble too. And of course, the way we, of course, appreciate you and love having you watch us live is on the app, because it's our app. And we love being able to talk about it. Of course, if you know Vivian, and you probably do by now, since she's been a co-host several times, She is one of the co-hosts of a great show on our network called Salted. And
Yes.
that show is growing like crazy on every Tuesday night. And but besides that, you're also an author. So give everybody a quick pitch for your
Yes.
books.
Yes. So I wrote here, I'm even going to I'm going to show y'all for those of you who are watching because isn't this a fun cover? It's called Breakdown Better: 52 Restoring Devotionals for Burned Out Women. And then I also wrote its companion guided journal, and this one's called A Better Way. And I'm going to tell you what, this one, I self-published this one. But that's almost my favorite because that's where you are really diving in with God, and that's where the work all happens, and that's where the restoration comes. So, both of those books are out on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target, Walmart, all the places. So, hopefully,
That's
folks
awesome.
reach out there and grab those books.
That's right. And Vivian and I both have our coffee, and we want to thank the great folks at 7 Weeks Coffee. 7weekscoffee.com. Use the promo code ATV10 when you order. I get all of them. I love all of their coffee. And today in my Tahoe mug, it changes mugs. I try to change every day. But we love their coffee and we love the team at 7 Weeks Coffee. Now, listen, they've got some great deals. They don't let me talk about on air because they know I'd spill the beans. But get it? Spill the
I
beans.
got it.
I thought it was pretty clever. I actually started working on that about an hour ago, Vivian. So, but go to their website. It's 7weekscoffee.com. That's 7weekscoffee.com. Use the promo code ATV10. When we come back, we've got a cool guest. You know, it's that time of year. School is back in
Yep.
session for a lot of people, and we're excited about that. We'll do that after this.
Behind every precious life, there was a choice. Behind every family moment, behind every special memory, there was a choice. A life of joy. A life that is beautifully and wonderfully made. At 7 Weeks Coffee, we are funding the pro-life movement, one cup at a time. Will you let your coffee serve a greater purpose?
Great, folks. 7 Weeks Coffee. That's 7weekscoffee.com. Use the promo code ATV10. Hey, did you like school? Were you one of those people that loved going to school?
It depended on what grade I was in. Loved grade school. Junior high, not so much. High school, I loved my senior year. So yeah, it ebbed and flowed.
And this, by the way, and I can't wait. We're going to bring her on. Kori, great to have you. Kori, you have a distinction that no one else has ever had on the morning break, and that is you are the first repeat guest. We had Kori on last year at the start of the year, and Kori's back, and I love what you're doing. Tell everybody that maybe new, because we gained a whole bunch of new viewers. Tell everybody a little bit about the ministry and what you're doing.
Well, what an honor to be on here. I did not know I was the first repeat guest, so that is an honor. You're absolutely right. I am a CEO of, well, first of all, I am daughter of the King of the Most High, so that's who I am. And I have a husband and 3 grown men with lovely wives and some grandbabies coming in with joys. I mean, straight from heaven. Just wait till y'all get there. But I'm a CEO of Bible to School, and that is a public school ministry. And we do release time. We equip families, communities across the country to teach the Bible, not before school, not after school, but actually during public school hours, typically over lunch and recess. And we take them to make that legal, because everybody's going, Kori, how in the world can you do that? We say we take it off site. That's parental permission and no tax dollars. And it is legal in all 50 states. And we are excited because we're expanding, and we're excited to share all the things that are going on at Bible to School, but also through this book that I just released with my team behind me.
Yeah, Kori, I would love to get some more information about this book because it comes out in September. Is that correct?
Yeah, September 1st.
And it's available for pre-order right now?
Correct, it is,
Okay.
and we did it in conjunction with Focus on the Family and Tyndale Publishing, so we're real excited to work with those folks. But yeah, it seems to be a topic that it's really a buzz right now with public school parents.
Love it. Well, tell us the title of your book and let's hear a little bit about it. I have some questions.
Sure, it's called Backpack Faith: Helping Your Child Live Confidently for Jesus in Public School. I wrote it for parents that are timid and kind of concerned or just confused about how to help their kids live their faith all the way through the school week. There is this misconception that you can only live your faith at home and you have to leave your faith at the public school door. And this book tells you how to help your kids live all the way through, and it has a lot of surprises in it too. People don't really realize what kids can do and what the law says.
That's really good. I was saved and baptized when I was 12. And I was so blessed in that my fifth grade teacher was a Christian. She actually came to my baptism.
Yes.
But I struggled. I was this good little Christian girl Sunday, sometimes on Saturday, but then I would go to school and hang out with my friends, and I was trying so hard to fit in. And I remember one time my fifth grade teacher pulled me aside and she said, "Vivian, you are too good for this." She's like, "You have Jesus in your heart."
Yeah.
And I remember that conversation because she was witnessing me. She knew what I was like on the weekends. And then I would come to school and I would be completely different. So I would love to hear your thoughts. Like, what would you have told my mom and dad at the time where I was really struggling with that? What could you have told them that could have helped me?
One of the main things is I tell parents is, you really want to just pour into your children. I mean, you're getting, we call them, elements are coming at you, things that are trying to fit in or believing things that aren't true. And we want our kids to have truth, and the truth is in the Bible. And so we talk about harmful cultural elements. You're being exposed to some. Well, what we want you to have is the Bible, of course, the truth. But we want parents to talk about these things, like the Deuteronomy says. Talk about when you're lying down and when you're getting up, and really make it be a part of the rhythm of their life at home, but not disconnect it from the school, because the kids need to have that place to ask questions where you could have come home and said, make that intentional space. Ask them, well, my friend said this. What do you think? And just really, not that your parents didn't do that, but just would be something that would be intentional for parents to do from early up. My boys knew when they came home from school, they got food, and I said, okay, tell me about, what was your day like? How was your day? And of course it was good. And my next question was, what was good about it? And they absolutely shared with me what was going on. And then we could talk about it together. The other thing I did that was really, really important is to pray with them. And what I talk about with parents in this book is, you want your kids to have God confidence, not self-confidence. And I think that's what you were struggling with, Vivian, to have those, everybody else kind of giving you your identity. We want them to get into God. And so one of the things that I did, I talked to parents. Once parents say, well, what's one thing that we could do? And I say, pray out loud with your children in the morning. Ask them, affirm them, say, hey, man, I love the way you are so fast in soccer. I love how God made you that way. But hey, what's going on today? What can we pray about? And, they're, oh, well, I have a test today, or, I have tryouts today. And then you pray with them. And I did this every morning with my boys. You can ask them. And I prayed in their ear out loud. And I said, hey, we're going to give your day to God today. We're going to give all of our stuff to God. So we did it together, and I'm just encouraging people through this book to disciple. You are the first discipler of your children. I mean, God gave that job to you. There's no plan B. And so I really encourage parents to do that and give them tools on how to do that here. And like I said, it's encouraging that we have truth. Because
Yeah.
Vivian, you couldn't understand, you didn't quite know what untruth was out there, but how do you recognize truth?
Yeah.
You have to know truth, just like the dollar bill, the counterfeit dollar bill. That's what they don't study the counterfeit, they study the truth to figure out. So that's what we want our kids to do: study that truth, be submerged in it at home, but also have that God confidence, that not self confidence, because we can't do it on our own, can we?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love, and I think the one thing that you're bringing out with this, of what you said about, when they got home from school and when you prayed with them in the morning, is communication. And I think communicating with your kid, especially as we're getting ready for the kids to go back to school, and in some cases they're already back, which really messes with me. It's early August. Is that you need to be that communication for them, because school is going to come at them fast and hard, and they need to have that place that they can come to and communicate about their faith.
Well, people always, I did get this one really great, I wrote for the Washington Times, and one of the readers wrote in and said, how do I protect my child from harmful cultural elements in the public school system? Great question, isn't it? And this is what the book answers. But instead of saying, how do we protect our children, it's how do we prepare our children?
Yes.
We flip that paradigm, and we say we prepare them with the Word of God. And if we don't know, we go to the Word of God with them and find the answer. What does God say about this? Who is God, and what does He say about this? And that really connects us in with our identity. That connects us in with God. That connects us in with truth, which, preparation is protection. It really is for our kids.
Yeah. So you talk about, I'd like to learn a little bit more about what the laws do say about what you can and can't do. Because I worked with the federal government, and there were laws of what we could and couldn't do in the workplace. So I'm assuming there is, as you mentioned, with the schools as well. So I'd like to learn about that. And then also too, my second part of that question is, can students, like if you're a high school student, can students create their own Bible study on campus?
Yes, they can. And I'm going to back up a second before you talk about legal, because this is something that I get all the time, is separation of church and state. Misconception. I do a whole chapter on the book on this, and the rules surrounding what children can and can't do in public school. And the myth around separation of church and state is, did you know it's not even in the Constitution? Did you know that?
I actually did know that. Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of people think, oh, I can't talk about Jesus in school, separation of church and state. Not true. It was separation of church and state was from a letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote to a group of Baptist pastors. And but it was about making sure that the state does not take over the church. So that the First Amendment actually shields the church, that's us, from interference of the state. So honestly, the public school's job is role is to protect religious freedom of the children. So it's just interesting. That's what I thought. But what kids can do, they can read their Bible, Vivian. They can read during free time. We have many kids in Bible to school that take it and leave it in their desk and use it and read it during free time. We have one little boy. He came home and said, "They call me, the walking Bible, Mom. Why do they do that?" And well, apparently, kids were talking about evolution and how we were created. And he's like, "Yeah, we were created through apes." And he's like, "Wait a minute!" He runs to his desk and his Bible's there, and he said, in the beginning, God created man, and so he's the walking Bible. But kids can do that. They can pray at appropriate times. They have no problem doing that in school. They can use Jesus, Paul, a subject for their homework. They can use the Bible. If they have a hero, they can do all those things. They can sing in a talent show their favorite worship song. Just like everybody else has songs, they can do that. So they can wear their favorite verse on their T-shirt. Lots of T-shirts out there. And if somebody else has, Nike Just Do It, they can have, God created me, or something on it. So it is allowed, is equal access, and it is very much allowed. And so people just don't really understand that this is separation church. There's no such thing. They can freely. This is what I thought was interesting when I researched the book. My son is an incredible Green Bay Packers fan. And we live in Pennsylvania, mid Pennsylvania. It doesn't make any sense, I know, but he came down one morning on the first day of school, and he had, the hat, the red, yellow and green jersey, the slippers, the whatever. He had everything on. And I thought to myself, wow, just looking at him, everybody knew he likes the Green Bay Packers. He was a Green Bay Packers fan. Everybody knew he did that. Wouldn't we want our children, how they walk into school, that people knew they were God fans? Just how they carried themselves, maybe if they had a necklace that they liked, but just to be them. They're allowed to be them. It's part of our freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and that's what we can do. And you can have if people challenge that, you can have very good conversations about that, and I address that in my book.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, because I think this is something that a lot of people don't know. And so, what do you advise to that parent or that student who's being confronted by a teacher or somebody that says, you can't wear that shirt, you need to go home and change it, or you can't be reading your Bible? How do they respectfully challenge that?
I have a whole chapter in the book called Kindly Educate. And I'm a big believer in kindly educating. Bible to School, we've been doing this for over 45 years, working with public school. And what we learned is that they honestly, most of the time, they don't even know the rules. They really don't. And so I have something called the ABCs of kindly educate. And first thing is assume the best. Assume that they just don't know. There are bad actors out there. That's another thing we could talk about. But yeah, just say, assume that, hey, are you sure about that? And be curious, and so assume, be curious. How do you know that's true? Where did you hear that? Is that in the rules of the school? Because then the school's rules would be illegal. So, and then the third one is clarify your concerns. Just kind of let them know, man, this kind of impacted me because I live my faith at home, and it's kind of confusing that I can't live my faith here.
Mm-hmm.
And then defend the truth confidently. If they say, well, that's not the rule here, and say, well, it actually is in the Constitution. So I really want to talk more about this. And then once they figure that out, where they might have to bring in a parent, it depends on the age level, if they can handle this conversation, always bring the parents in to have this. So where you're assuming the best, you're being curious, you're clarifying your concerns, you're defending the truth confidently and respectfully, and then you're engaging collaboration. Like, how can we change this? And then, of course, I have the F, A, B, C, D, F, whatever. We go to follow up. We have this conversation. We figure out how we can have the children live their faith, and then we follow up with them and thank them very much. So it's a relationship building tool. The ABCs of kindly educating. I actually had this happen to me. So it was because I've been watching these parents and in public school, working with them so closely, seeing they're timid and they're concerned and they're worried. Everybody's, oh my gosh, almost 85% of Christian parents send their kids to public school, right, and they're concerned. And I'm like, it's okay. You can connect. You can challenge. If you see that your kids aren't being saying you can't say Jesus. That's what happened to my son. He was in second grade. And he came barreling home, and I asked him a question, what happened in school today? And he said, the teacher said I was wrong, but I wasn't, Mom. And I said, what's going on? Well, it was Christmas time. And the teacher said, hey, tell me a word that has to do with Christmas and describes Christmas. And he said, other kids were going, Santa and reindeer. And he raised his hand and he said, Jesus's birthday. And she said, well, no, that's we can't say that in school. And he was very confused. And so I went to her, I assumed the best. She was actually a Christian teacher. She just didn't know.
Mhm.
And I asked her where she found that, and we worked through it with all this, with what I was telling you, these ABCs of kindly educating, and look what that did. That allowed my child to live their faith all the way through the week. Didn't have to compartmentalize it here, there, like you were doing, Vivian. You're putting your faith just on Sundays,
Yeah.
and that's not healthy for kids. And it also helped the other children of any religion, that because this is not just for Christianity. This that the people can live their faith anywhere they are in the public square, which includes public school according to the Constitution. And then the future students know that we're able to do that because the teacher got kindly educated by us. So it's taking the time and really standing for truth and saying, you know what, we are Christians, we are believers, we can live our faith, and our kids can too, and they don't have to leave their faith at the public school door.
That's awesome. Hey, listen, if there's a parent out there watching and maybe their kid is getting ready to head back to school, is there a way for them to find out if your organization has a chapter at their school?
Yes, they can go to BibleToSchool.com. That's Bible, the number two, school.com. And we would love to talk to them to get our program there. There are a couple ways that the Bible can stay in public school, and we are one of them. And so we would love to, an easy, convenient way for your children to come in the middle of the week, in the middle of a school day, to learn about the Bible and strength. And their faith can be strengthened during the week. And people are like, wow, you can do that in public school? Yes, it's legal.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm excited about the book. Where can they get the book?
Anywhere Christian books are sold. Backpack Faith, helping your child live confidently for Jesus in public school. And it's every book sold supports the ministry of Bible to School.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being with us again. Kori Pennypacker with us. She is our first. We will be sending her plaque for being the first repeat guest on the show. Check out the book. We appreciate you so much. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. It was lovely talking to you.
Hey, where'd the time go? Went by so fast
It
again.
did. What a
Every time it
great
does.
conversation.
Oh, I love Kori.
Wow.
And that's why we were excited to have her back and loved having you here. Remember, check out
Thanks.
Salted and Vivian all across our social media network and everything. She's doing some amazing stuff. I appreciate you and all that you have done to help. And again, check out Salted every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern time, and also on demand, which the latest show with all of Molly and you and Stephanie on there is on the on demand section, and you can do it there. Man, it's been a great day. Spending hard. We'll see you again soon.
Bye.